Welcome to the Journos on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Hugh McDonald and Alison McConnell. Join me on the programme. If you've downloaded on a podcast, thank you very much for your support, whether you're listening or watching. Don't forget that we're on PLZ Premium and later on PLZ's YouTube channel as well. The Journos programme proving to be very popular last season, and hopefully you're back with us this season. If you get a chance, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and not only the Journos, but there's lots of exclusive content and prize giveaways to savour on PLZ Premium. If you hit the subscribe button and support us, we can bring you even more fantastic content over the course of the season. And with all of us here sporting our gear, Ali with her trendy stuff on, and Hugh just with the t-shirts from travelling all across the world, going to games that he just loves. Maradona with a bit of Che Guevara in there as well.
That's right, aye. The old Diego reminds me of the day I went to his house. He wasn't in, but I went to his house at Argentinos Juniors. One of the great days of my life.
Yeah, your son is a big, buyer of any what we call tat. I love your son for that, but that you've got to. There is no. My mum used to say to me, "Don't go to a famous place and then just take the photograph of the famous place. Make sure you're in the photograph, because that's the. And the other thing is, don't go to these places and not get yourself a wee bit of tat."
Well, next to the Bombonera and the road up to the Bombonera, there's a place called Camachito, with just a row of tat shops, and we spent so much money there because the currency is so small. So 1,000 is $1. 1,000 pesos is $1. So we bought so much stuff that the guy brought out a machine. It was like a drug deal we were doing, and he put all our money in this thing, and it counted it, and it came out like 100,000 lira. So 100 quid we'd spend.
Yeah.
But it was just like everything: t-shirts, hoodies, badges. So I've got about 3 or 4. I'm not usually into it, but I was then. I was in there.
You've got to do that. And as I look at Hugh and I can relate to his son, I look at you and I think, all I think is, Joe and the rest of the kids, get away from that stall. We're just seeing everything, and then we're going back to Aber lunch, which is all inclusive. Is that fair, Ali?
That's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, lots of football to talk about. Victoria Pilsen 2-1 against Rangers. And yet again, you have a situation where the manager is pulling no punches with regards to the performance of the side, because I looked at the stats here and Rangers have conceded 27 shots, 21 of them coming from inside their penalty area. And really, you look at the stats and they are damning. Since the 6 games they've played, they've conceded 97 shots, which is alarming. And when you listen to what Russell Martin had to say post-match, he just basically said, "I've no problem with Butland, Suter and Giga in defending, but the rest need to match their level of intensity and alertness and sense danger because of that second goal. Both goals are outrageous to concede, not good enough, so we have to improve that. We defend too much tonight because we are far too loose with the ball." And that basically is you have to read into the manager and say, well, he's got a wad of players there he's not happy with. He wants rid of because they can't defend. It's blatantly obviously needs to sort out the back line, Hugh, and it's blatantly obviously needs to get rid of people who give the ball away cheaply.
Absolutely, it's a simple game that way. I mean, everybody talks about high presses, low presses, and transitions, etc. But if you give the ball away in midfield, people are onto your back line very, very quickly now. I mean, this is a trend for Rangers. This, that's one stat. But some stat was saying that it was over 100 shots. I mean, they were facing more shots than the Zulus at Rorke's Drift.
Yes.
It's just like fusillades of shots. And you see, when you go up a level, you can say, got away with it, even losing 2 goals last night was getting away. I mean, I'm not into things like XG, but when XG is +3, that suggests a 4 or 5, really good chances. So when you step up a level, there's teams like Club Brugge, you would think, wouldn't be missing those chances. So not only has he got to get it sorted, but like all Rangers managers, he's got to get it sorted now.
Yeah, the other aspect of this, Ali, is that the majority of what I call sensible Rangers fans are looking at this and they are not happy. They are looking and saying to themselves, you know, if there was even a notion of revolution, you know, and a massive change and then a massive change of players, that notion has been quickly dismissed. What they're doing is trying to get, you know, bargains, players that can come in and do a job well, trying to get rid of players who have basically been that timeline of failure. And it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to get them out the door and get these other people in that you need. Because when Graham Souness came in 1985-86, like so many great managers before, your Cloughs, your Steens, your Shankleys, your Busbys, you build a team from the back. You make
he
it
also
great
had a lot of
goalie.
money. Like if you look at
Absolutely,
what
that's what I'm
Graham
saying, but-
Souness went and raided the England national team.
No,
to
I
build
accept that. But what he's got to do, Russell Martin, is say, well, I don't have that money.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this side. They've lost this amount of goals. They're so far off it. Where's the problems? You start buying defenders. It's easier to keep nil and maybe win a game than suddenly start buying players for elsewhere when you're conceding goals.
Yeah, I think the problem is the deficiencies that you've seen in recent campaigns are still there and are still glaringly obvious. I would also argue that maybe the biggest deficiency is maybe one of mentality, which is a lot harder to change. And I think even bringing in, when news came of the takeover, the immediate impression for Rangers fans was there's going to be money. There's going to be money coming in that you can overhaul the team. It very quickly became apparent what it is it's going to be a new structure, a new business sense of trying to create the foundations of a very sustainable club. And that doesn't mean coming in and throwing money at players and giving the manager money. It says, let's do this in a very rational way, that you are protecting the future of the club, that you're almost building a very sustainable foundation from which to grow a successful business. And that means having a very particular player trading model. It's not going to be a quick fix. There's not going to be huge amounts of money. In amongst it, you've seen pockets of that would be sources of optimism, like the game last Tuesday night at Ibrox when the front three, I thought, gelled very well, looked very good. But the biggest headache is the back line, and then I think a very weak midfield at the minute. The issue with Raskin isn't going to go away. I think Raskin looks as though he's annoyed. He looks as though he is in a huff because he's not playing in the position that he wanted to play in, the position that he was maybe, you know, arguably one of the best midfielders in the country in the latter half of the last campaign. But none of it is a quick fix.
Yeah, and getting them out the door is not easy. And also the other thing is, yeah, we want to sell a player, but you need to have a willing buyer, as they used to say, Hugh.
Yeah, a willing player and a willing player.
Yeah.
You could have plenty of buyers for Dessers, for example, but you've got plenty of buyers that are willing to pay him his wage at Rangers. That is you know,
Long-term contract.
on long-term contract. These guys, you saw it with the tranche that they you know, last season when they got 5 or 6 players out and they get absolutely, you know, less than 6 figures for them because it was to get them out and get their wages off the budget. So they've got that problem. The injury to Dessers that we don't quite know the seriousness of it, but he was in a boot, wearing a boot last night. That's a further complication. Raskin's interesting. I thought the manager's comments were, the head coach's comments, we've not received a bid, but he's received telephone calls, which suggests he's been tapped up. So that won't be helping his mood as well if you're getting tapped up with people saying, we want you for him.
People just agitating behind.
Agitating, you know, you could come here. The Igamain thing is a bit of a mystery as well. We had the thing at the beginning of last month that, you know, there was bids in for French teams, and then the manager saying, well, there's been no bids, but he's obviously not been spotted either. So he's got a busy month apart from the football. Russell Martin, he's got a busy month to wheel and deal and get what he wants. But the moment is that they're under siege in every game.
Well, the other aspect of this, which is basically, you know, every Rangers fan and their granny is basically saying, right, get rid of him, and him. I mean, I've put it together based on the manager and what he's saying, and based on the evidence of what we're looking at. Unless he finds a midfield or a wide position for James Tavernier, I think James Tavernier for me is what I call easy cannon fodder for a lot of people. They make him the man who is at fault for most of Rangers' failings. You know, if there's somebody you're going to blame, it's all the captain. He's only won this, he's only won that, and he can't defend. Well, if he can't defend, don't put him in the right back position. And I think it's a fault. And I think Jeffty's a fault. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, well, where else are the faults? And, you know, Dessers is not going to win everybody over because Rangers are always playing second fiddle at the moment. So no matter what he does, he scored 29 goals last season, not flavour of the month. Connor Barron is not contributing. Then you've got the boy Dowell, who, you know, by all accounts, Rangers fans were booing at one point. And then you've got Danilo, who, you know, reminds me of the boy Serginho, who I would have to check his passport to see if he really was Brazilian. Those players are the ones that I don't think have a long-term future. I mean, it's fine for Tavernier, he's done his bit. But the rest of them, I'm looking and saying, these players have not got a long-term future there. I think he needs two fullbacks to shore that defence up. If he's not looking at Suter and he's not looking at Giga, then he needs two fullbacks. That's the first thing. I think he needs an aggressive, and forgive me for this, he needs an aggressive, taller midfielder. And he also needs two strikers and possibly another winger. That's a lot of players to try and even, by the way, at this moment, to try and potentially get second. We're not even out of August.
I think he's under pressure immediately. I think just
he is under pressure for his job.
That's just the nature of life in Glasgow. I think that what Rangers fans needed to see this season was a competitive fight for the title. Even, I think there can be forgiveness if you don't win the league, but you see that there is ground made up. You see that there is a team going in the right direction.
After 6 games?
After 6 games, and I think when you ship 4 points from your opening 2 league games, I think it's the first time in 36 years that Rangers haven't won their opening 2 fixtures. I think it invites a level of scrutiny. You know the drill, you know it, you know the noise that accompanies any manager of Celtic or Rangers. It can dissipate, it can dial down. However, when you look at the course of the next month, you've got another huge Champions League qualifier next week, then you've got Alloa on Saturday in the League Cup, then you've got that, and then you're looking at St Mirren and Celtic. So conceivably, at the end, going into the 1st of September, the first month still of the campaign, you could be a significant distance behind. You live in the real world. If you come up to Celtic and Rangers, that invites a level of pressure immediately, and you can ask for time and you can say it's a project and all the rest of it, but people get disgruntled very, very quickly.
And with that in mind, and bearing in mind, picking up on what Alison's saying, do you get to a situation then, Hugh, where, like so many foreign owners of clubs who don't have, I'm not saying they lack compassion, but they certainly lack the ability for patience. Do you have a situation here where that's going against Russell Martin as well? And dare I say it, you know, if the doomsday scenario that Alison's talking about, let's just say, for example, because I think Bruges is a step too far for them. Let's just say they don't get past Bruges. I think it's a little bit conceited to suggest that they're going to go to St Mirren and win.
Well, they haven't beaten St Mirren in the last 3 competitive matches.
So there's another one. So you're suddenly saying, if they've got a home match against Celtic the 31st and they go 10 points behind, which is, for me, you know, game over out of August. If that doomsday scenario unfolded, do you get the feeling that that kind of pressure is where they actually say, listen, you're not really what we're looking for?
I think other stuff would have to come into it. I think
What other stuff?
The stuff that would come into it would be, for example, if he goes back and starts saying to them, I need a right back, and they say, wait a minute, you've got the Rangers captain at right back, and we got you a guy, Max Aarons, a right back. What do you mean you need a third right back?
Yeah.
These things, if he goes back to say another winger, wait a minute, we've given you 2 wingers and you've got the young boy Curtis, and you know, internally, if that if tensions become internally, I think, you know, that's when it becomes a problem.
You've surely got a budget to buy some more players, Hugh.
Yeah, but, well, I don't know.
Another centre half
He's talking
coming
about...
in.
You could end up with a really bloated squad.
What? He's ended, I mean, what was it? The rough figure already is, I mean, they said we're putting in 20 million and he spent 20 million, you know. I mean, I know that he's going to get, hopefully for him, he gets a big Raskin fee, or a decent Raskin fee, a decent Igamani fee, etc., etc.
Knee injury like a hole in
That's what I'm saying. Dessers is just an unnecessary complication to everyone. By the way, I would keep Dessers. I think Dessers at the moment is the best number 9 at the club, and I think it's by quite a distance.
Yes.
So I would have kept him. I didn't see the rush to get him out. I mean, Dessers is one. Here's the thing about Dessers. People say, oh, he doesn't score, he misses a lot of chances. Yes, if he was Dessers and he scored every chance, he'd be Harry Kane and we'd be playing in the Bundesliga. At our level, in our league, every centre forward is going to come with restrictions. It's as simple as that. Yeah. The days of having, you know, one of the best strikers in Britain, you know, your Mark Hateleys or whoever, you Charlie Nicks playing as your first striker, they're gone. I mean, every player has got restrictions, and Dessers has got obvious ones, but he still scores 29 goals.
Yeah.
And he still can link up play. I mean, he's got his problems. So I think he's got. I mean, the question to go back to, is he under pressure? Of course he is, because every Rangers or Celtic manager is under pressure. I mean, Brendan Rodgers has been under pressure, you know, with the transfer stuff, with what he's been saying. That's the world we live in.
Here's the...
You can argue whether or not you think it's right or not, or whether anyone
that's a
different question, but the reality is that any manager at Rangers or Celtic that doesn't win their first 2 league games is under pressure.
Yeah, but the problem with this is, you know, he is an appointment that this board, in new broom, fresh approach, long-term plan, no rinse and repeat. All of the previous chairman and interim chairman and new chairman and Patrick Stewart, they've all come out and said, this is a different way we are going to look at this now.
And they've all sacked managers.
Well, of course. This is the big problem with it. This is the problem which, if you get to August, and the one thing that really does get any manager the sack is when the fans just say we're not going out of August. Out of August, when the fans say they're not going, then the game's up, you know. But the other thing about it, and I will have, obviously, a classic line which every journalist will have now, let's not be talking about the SPFL not helping you with cancelling games for going into European football. Because quite simply, Rangers said, no, we're not going to cancel that game now.
Celtic too, playing their game.
So shut up.
Yeah, I think so. I think the sensible thing to do is to give people the option. I think it is a sensible call. You want as many teams in Europe as possible. You want to facilitate the journey. I think where the calendar allows, and you can tweak games here and there, I think it's a sensible thing to do, to say to the clubs, you decide. Do you want another competitive game before you go into that, or do you want to go and take the break?
Yeah, that's the sensible way you've actually portrayed that, Alison. But that's not the way it was portrayed in the last 5, 6 years, 10 years, where basically clubs are saying it's a disgrace. Look at Europe. Look at all these clubs that are given the chance to have a free weekend. Well, okay, we've given you the chance, and you're not taking it, so it's a load of claptrap. Yep.
The big problem with them, I mean, the big problem, obviously, I mean, Russell Martin denied this, you know, they had nothing to do with the way the league table lay. But the big problem is the way the league table plays. But there is another problem. There's not much room in Scottish football for postponements. There's not. See, if you look at the calendar, is
fairly congested.
It's very congested. You know, you can see why. You know, things like shootouts at the end of cup ties is going to be, you know, coming to the fore. Because if you look at which I, in my sad life, have done, is look through the season. There's not many free weekends for SPFL clubs to slot in games, and we're still going to be playing over a winter, so there will be there's going to be postponements.
Yeah, but the other thing is, let's cut to the chase here and not try and pad it out. This is a £60 million roll of the dice.
Yep.
So take the game out of the equation, give yourself all the preparation you need, give Dessers, you know, all the time that he needs to try and get himself absolutely on it. It's Bruges, it's 60 million, it's the group stages of the Champions League. I'm sorry, you've been bleating on about it. Every one of the clubs that I'm talking about, you've been bleating on about it for that long. This is down to the fact that psychologically, if you go 7 points behind when Celtic roll out at Ibrox, you're under real pressure.
And the thing is, Rangers have added to it by actually asking for it and then withdrawing. That's where, if they'd have said, listen, no, we're very... And it also brings in this thing, you know, like, I just wonder what St Mirren think of this, you know. Okay, it wasn't a long-term thing, it was quickly resolved, but St Mirren fans and all that say, wait a minute, you know, well, the game might be off now, it's back on, you know.
No, the clear message is, by the way, we'll take the St Mirren game back on because we'll beat them, and then, you know, it gives us a chance to reduce it to 1 point.
I think that's certainly the perception of it. I think that's it, and I think there's no question for me. I know I listened to Russell Martin, I heard what you had to say, but realistically, I think, you know, you just don't want to invite that kind of scenario.
And there's also there's a Giga factor as well. He misses St Mirren, but he plays against Celtic. Yes. So if they postpone the game, they'd go in with Suter and whoever at centre half instead of this way. You've got your first.
It's
a great game of poker, isn't it?
It essentially is, and obviously there's a, you know, managers have got to say certain things publicly, but I think our job is to take a step back and maybe analyse things in a wider sense.
Look to see when they're trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes. And by the way, to put it in perspective, Hugh, that if that's the nature of the game, get on with it, great. You know, but just don't be hacked off when we all spot the ruse, as you would say.
I do think the interesting thing is St Mirren. I think I'm quite keen to hear what Stephen Robinson's got to say about it, because it is just almost like you've been dismissed as collateral damage along the way. Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, you just stick the newspaper, or you just stick your iPhone 16 up on a board now. Who sticks newspapers up now? I'm sorry.
Share the tweets.
Yeah, absolutely. Share the tweets and then photocopy it up onto the wall. And with that in mind, and this is the great thing about the transfer window, which we are all really buzzing about, because I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, I've been lucky. I've picked the games since the start of the season where I've seen teams and I'm thinking, out with Celtic and Rangers, what you see on a regular basis, but I'm looking at teams, I'm thinking, how many signings do you need? What type of team have you got there? Who's going to sign certain players? We looked at Rangers and who they need. And the interesting one is Celtic, because it's this ongoing circus and the sideshow of, well, you know, I mean, one headline, which is great for our fellow journalists who just say, let's put this headline, Celtic now looking at 8 players that they potentially could sign. And, you know, all of a sudden, people get into a frenzy. Quick, show us the 8 players. Who are they? Well, realistically, is Brendan Rodgers just wanting 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think so. And I think he'd be happy if he got a new front 3, if he got 2 wingers and a striker. I think he'd be happy at that. The midfield's overpopulated, which is why I'm not saying Lennon Miller would have come, but we know Celtic were interested in Lennon Miller at Christmas, but that died down, so there was no heavy pursuit there, because you've now got, in the old twist of fate, you've got the Portuguese under-21 captain who's now 6th choice in midfield. I think he's all right at the back. To me, he's got a sort of unfathomable faith in Scales, but he's also got Trusty, and he's also got the Manchester City Poozy coming back in.
Well, you say that. Let me interrupt you, and again, look at, if we assess what Rangers are looking at and who's doing the business, who potentially could go or who needs to step up to the plate. I look at Celtic and I'm saying, you said Trusty. I don't think Trusty name is not necessarily Trusty by name, Trusty by nature. I don't think the Celtic fans trust Trusty, and even better than that, I don't think the manager trusts Trusty.
Let's look at your starting 11 choices, if you want to know.
So, Trusty, Ida, Engels has got to step up sooner or later. Yang, Johnny Kenny, Welsh, Tillio, they will all sooner or later, some of them have got loan deals, and then you've got Narovsky, Montgomery, Home and Palmer all out on loan. So all of those lots of signings that we talk about, those gambles along the way, some of them just haven't worked out. They're not at a certain standard. And as Hugh mentioned for Rangers, if Celtic can even get 3 or 4 of them out,
yeah, I think they'll be keen to get some of them out because the likes of Stephen Welsh and Tillio, I think it makes sense. Let them go and play. Let them get out, even if it's a loan deal or if an offer comes in. If you know that they're not going to be part of the plans, I think it makes sense. I think you can have fairly bloated squads. I think you can have too many players. I think the Engels situation is very interesting. The fact he's not started the season, or he's not started recent games, and I think Benjamin Nygreen's performance at the weekend would suggest that he stays in. Palma is an enigma too. I think he comes in. Bernardo, he comes in and you see and you think there's a contribution here, there's a player there. He just doesn't seem to fit in to that midfield at all. I wonder if there is a question with Celtic that they resist any offers now for bigger players over the next couple of weeks, and I'm thinking Hatate, even Maeda. Do you get a knock at the door at the last minute and players want to go?
do you sense Maeda looks unhappy, Hugh, or is he just recharging the battery? Because for me, if I was Maeda, I'd be looking and saying to myself, what is it, World Cup year coming up? I'd be looking and saying, is there any chance you could shift Ida out the road, who doesn't have the same goal-scoring prowess as me, and play me through the middle?
I think the World Cup is a big thing for the Japanese player. What you've got to remember is Maeda, and people used to be a bit baffled when Furuhashi was getting all the headlines, but Maeda was the one that was getting all the squads, and I was lucky enough to be in Qatar when he came on at half-time and he changed the game for Japan. He's a perfect player for Japan because the way they like to play, they like to soak up and then break. We'll scrutinise these players because we hear whispers and we hear that, and I think most Celtic fans would have looked at the game against Aberdeen at the weekend, and early on in the game Maeda lost the ball, and I think most Celtic fans would have shouted, "He's not running back," which is totally not Maeda. You know, it might have been an aberration. He might have just tweaked something or something like that. But you expect Maeda to come flashing into the scene and take the ball off, and then he might be making too much of it. But I went, that's not like him. And he'll know, of course, we talked about Raskin getting phone calls. We know that there's English clubs interested in Maeda. And we know it's the EPL, and you've got to remember these guys, world football, we might not like it, but the best league in the world is the EPL. You know, you can argue all the time about that's where the big players want to go. If you're not going to Barcelona or Real Madrid, you're not going to choose Real Vallecano over Brentford, for example, because they want to play. So at that level,
You have to convince me, Hugh. I'm a big fan of the English Premier League. You know?
So I think that there'll be knocks on the door. Certainly for players at Celtic. I think Hatate, to me, has started the season in tremendous form again. I think he's so important to Celtic as well.
Can I ask you too, if you think then that the situation where there has been a couple of lines thrown out in newspapers, and I wonder if it was thrown out from within Celtic Park, that Celtic are waiting now to see if they can get past Kairat Almaty before they decide on what type of player they're going to buy, what money they're going to shell out. Which I looked at that and I thought,
I don't think so.
I think they've got more than enough money to get the 2 or 3 that he wants now.
Yeah,
but it's that.
What you might find is that
maybe
for players
maybe
themselves, there's a carrot in being able to entice players to say, well, we can offer you Champions League.
But it is a slow process, Ali, and I don't want to go down the road with you because sometimes I feel as if you're about to fire out what I call a standard press release on why they're having delays on it.
Or otherwise known as not thinking the way I think.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm not making an accusation that you're suddenly being a PR person for Celtic, because basically I think it's right and proper for you to highlight the different areas of problems that come with these deals and what managers and recruiting and boards are thinking on how they strategically spend their money and how difficult it is sometimes for agents to, as you point out, go and get players. But I think they've got a list that, you know, that some Celtic fans would get a little bit scunnered watching the whole thing slowly grind to the second last day, the last day, oh, they just missed out on a player. But with Kyra Almaty in the background, obviously winning in a penalty shootout, they are a club, actually, you know, with wealthy owners, but
A couple of Brazilians in the team who'll be decent.
easy enough for Celtic, or a tough one, but certainly achievable?
I think it's certainly achievable. I mean, you just have to look at their coefficient and their record in the Champions League, and if you said out all the permutations coming through the round, or you've ended up with Almaty, I think say that's fine. That's a decent progress to the Champions League. Build up something at Celtic Park, and then it makes the trip. You know, that's a crucial game always. But if you build up something there, then you go to your trip to Almaty. I think that's the way it works out. It's home first, isn't it?
Yeah, home Wednesday night.
Next Wednesday night. You know, if you win that cosily, you can go to Almaty more relaxed. You could even, I mean, you don't want to spin this. We could even rest some players, etc., etc.
I don't think sign 2 players before this game.
But I don't think there's a big problem with that. I think, and I don't think that's playing heavily in Celtic's minds. I think the problem is Celtic are operating in the area now, and you saw it with Engels last year, where other clubs are sniffing around. And, for example, say Engels gets a chance of Leverkusen stand up and say, no, we want you. Engels has then got a decision to make. But last season, when you know they thought Leverkusen was tepid to maybe non-existent, Celtic becomes much more. So I think people, agents are saying to players, and they always do, this is the ball's in your court. We can wait. I mean, I understand Celtic supporters getting them really. I mean, that's football. But imagine being a Newcastle supporter. I mean, it is difficult getting players. I mean, Newcastle are trying to get players in at a different level, and they're finding that hugely difficult because they're trying to get players in that Manchester United want, that Liverpool want, that Man City want, and they're not getting them for obvious reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, you can give us your thoughts on all of that. On the Journos programme. It's on PLZ Premium, and then it gets released a little later on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel as well. If you want to get PLZ Premium, why not just hit the link on our main YouTube channel homepage? Or if you want to win some prizes, we've got one running for the full month of August, and I think Kerry is able to tell you about that prize.
Subscribe to PLZ Premium today and you will be in our prize draw to win this fabulous Scott McTominay replica Napoli shirt. PLZ Premium is offering additional content from your favourite football channel. Subscribe to PLZ Premium today and you'll be in with a chance of winning this fabulous football shirt.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Happy with that.
That's another thing. I've got a mound of Napoli tat as well.
Yeah, did you get that?
I got a mound of sort of like Diego Maradona, you know, these bath sort of bags that you put your stuff in to go away, your shaving gear and that.
Yeah.
Got him in the number 10 shirt.
Is it fair to say that you might find yourself going through airport security and getting a rigorous check? The Diego Maradona bag.
I noticed they keep sniffing my bag for some reason, but I don't know what that's about.
Anyway, why not get involved if you subscribe? There's a whole host of great prizes on offer and the exclusive content, lots of content that we've got for you on PLZ Premium that I think you're going to enjoy over the course of the season. But don't forget that Monday to Friday the football show is absolutely free, and we want to thank everybody for watching the programme on YouTube and those who download the podcast as well. Just before we finish, I thought, you know, I always say sometimes that there's a saturation point in football of what you're going to watch. But I was sitting on the couch, Hugh, and Wrexham were playing Southampton, and because of this Hollywood story that's attached to it, I thought to myself, will I watch Wrexham against Southampton? I gave it 10 minutes, then I switched it off. But for that 10 minutes, you know, Wrexham were in the lead. The story was going according to plan till obviously Southampton came back and pumped them. But nevertheless, I thought of Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. and this dream that the Wrexham fans are on at the moment. It's just incredible. And then I thought to myself, here's our top 10 for today, Ali, because it just came to me right away. Because the other night there, and I don't know about you, Hugh, are you the type of person that can watch a movie or a sporting movie or a documentary more than once?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched The Last Dance 3 times in its entirety, all episodes.
3 times.
Since it's been released. Yeah, because
I've not seen it once.
it's the best, have you not? It's the best documentary I've ever seen. I don't think there's anything better than The Last Dance.
The Last Dance, very, very good. The only thing I would say about Last Dance is that it's Michael Jordan's story.
Yes.
And it's quite interesting if you go and behind the scenes and you hear Charles Barkley talking about
Absolutely.
it. And saying, and Scottie Pippen later talking about it, saying, it didn't quite happen that way.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's interesting. But that documentaries are like that.
Yeah, with all due respect to Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan told him to invest his money in Nike because it was going to take off. And Charles Barkley's a multi-millionaire because of Michael Jordan.
But they all, I mean, but it's that thing, you know, when people say about Tiger Woods, every golfer in the world should bow down in front of Tiger and say, thanks very much for giving me my wages, because when he was on tour, everybody was in the trough.
Yes.
And Michael Jordan was that as well. I mean, my granddaughter Tess, she's right into basketball, so I've got into it in terms of sort of talk to her basically. But people forget that in the 60s and the 70s, it wasn't a huge, the marketing of basketball, of which Jordan, by the way, played a huge part, has taken it into the stratosphere. I mean, at one time, you know, franchises in the NBA were going for, now they're going for billions.
Yeah.
Billions.
Have you seen the movie Air?
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And I was trying to pick 10 great sporting movies, you know, that obviously, not in any great order. I think it's so difficult to pick things in order, but certainly the ones I put into ChatGPT, Ali, the top 10. Do you want me to give you the top 10?
Go on.
So the top 10, they've got Rocky,
Right.
which in 1976, Sylvester Stallone was even told by the executives, we don't want you in it, even though it was his story that he'd put together for it. Raging Bull, which is magnificent. And the movie I watched for the 32nd time the other day there was Remember the Titans.
Oh, aye.
Which is a movie you haven't seen.
I've not seen Remember the Titans.
If you've seen 1 out of the 10 here, I'll be gobsmacked. So, have you seen Rocky?
I've seen Rocky. I loved Raging Bull.
God, Raging Bull, right. Chariots of Fire.
Seen Chariots.
Hoosiers. Have you seen that, Hugh?
Yeah, it's
what's
India.
about?
That's the Indiana.
Is it worth watching?
Not for me.
Right, okay, because I haven't watched it yet. The Fighter.
Yeah.
Moneyball.
Yeah.
Moneyball's a good one. Moneyball is Brighton. In a nutshell, Seabiscuit. Have you watched that?
No, watch Seabiscuit.
six.
I quite fancied that actually.
It's a better book. Laura Hildebrand wrote the book, and actually I ended up interviewing her, believe it or not. I'd read the book and I went, this was before it was made a film, and I just went, it's just about America, pre-war and all that, and horse racing in it.
I loved that. That was Hugh being a lovey there. I mean, the book was far better than the movie.
But it was just,
it's a fact.
Actually, the Raging Bull was off Jake LaMotta's biography, and the film's miles better than
Although I did enjoy the movie.
It's Seabiscuit. I love Seabiscuit as a movie.
It's a great movie. The Hustler.
Yep.
And one of my all-time favourite movies, Field of Dreams, which is a big cheese fest, but I love it.
Really?
Ali, you're talking to major cheese. I mean, I sit and cry at movies.
I so do.
You know what I mean?
I cry at a kettle boil.
Exactly. So whereas you don't, do you? There are I can't believe nobody mentioned A Shot at Glory. No. Which I look at Hugh rolling his eyes. Listen, any movie with Andy Smith and Oni Coyle in it deserves supporting actor.
And the reason I'm rolling my eyes is for the last 5 years I've tried to get Robert Duvall for an interview.
Yes.
On
A Shot at Glory.
Because he's a great football fan, Duvall, as well. He's a great Jimmy Johnson fan.
Yes.
And I've always tried to get through his agents. We were talking about this earlier, about how to get to big names, and sometimes it's a long and tortuous. I haven't given up. He must be 90-something now, 94.
Yeah, but...
so I've not given up.
And of course, I think, when you think of some of the... It's funny you mentioning Robert Duvall and A Shot at Glory. In Field of Dreams, Burt Lancaster.
She's in the end, I know.
Which is one of my favourite actors. Burt Lancaster is magnificent. Of the honourable mentions, and again, I'd like you to throw in some that I've forgotten about, but I was thinking Bend It Like Beckham, which is, it's not up there, but it's a movie. The Damned United, When Saturday Comes, Next Goal Wins, I haven't seen. Marvellous, I certainly haven't seen. Escape to Victory, This Sporting Life, and I have watched Invictus. Are there others that we've missed along the way?
I would say Slapshot is the best. Paul Newman as a fading ice hockey player with the Hansen brothers in his midfield. Have you ever seen Slapshot?
It's a great movie.
Go and watch that. You'd love it. The humour in it is terrific. And the Hansen brothers, even just YouTube, the Hansen brothers, they are magnificent. They're all dressed up as geeks and that, but they were actually NFL players.
Yes.
They were made up to it. And anyway, so Slapshot, Raging Bull, of course, that we've mentioned. The Natural with Robert Redford in...
It's my all-time favourite movie of all time.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. We missed Jerry Maguire,
Jerry Maguire's a
The Big
classic.
Lebowski.
For the bowling.
The Big Lebowski.
For Jesus.
Top 20.
For Jesus. And I mean,
That's a great shout, The Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski, it's left field.
Yeah, right out of left field. I'm going to give you, Ali, you've just landed
won
the movie of all.
And she's done it again.
Yeah,
She's made fools of us again.
Yeah, did you cry at The Big Lebowski? I cried laughing, it was so funny. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of other great... Maradona in Naples, the documentary. It's terrific. Just the way the car comes to drop him off.
But also, it's not sugar coated.
No.
Like you're getting access to everything.
Yeah, but I was thinking
I
about...
loved that.
I was thinking about movies that tell a story of something that you...
But boxing's great for it because somebody up there likes me. It was Rocky Graziano, not Marciano, Graziano's story. That was a great film.
What about and again, I can't think of the title of it just for friends, but it starred Warren Beatty as an NFL star who comes back.
Heaven Can Wait.
Heaven Can Wait.
Yes, that's another one. All good movies. I mean, I think if you're... I don't know about you, but I like those movies where there's two types of movies, and I'm going to leave myself wide open to a left hook here, Ali. There's two movies that I like because of my nieces and nephews along the way. I like sports ones where at the end there's triumph. Or there's a lesson to be learned from it. Remember the Titans is so much like that. And then the second is boy meets girl, girl meets boy, they fall in love, and there's no divorce, they stay together forever. Is that too simplistic? But the sports ones, have we any more that we can add?
I can add a couple. I think The Wrestler with Mickey O'Rourke, which was a very... But there's a film that I went and saw last year, and it's Iron Fist, and it's about a wrestling family. That's hit by tragedy, and it is the bleakest film out. All these wrestlers, how they came to their demise in one family, and it's almost entirely, there's no suit it's almost entirely without redemption. But I wondered, it's beautifully acted and shot. I think it's called The Iron Fist.
Yeah, and the last point I was going to make, just on the Mickey Rourke point here, Hugh, if you had the gazillions of money that some American actors have, would you get any kind of reconstructive surgery on your face or cosmetically?
Would you think?
Yeah, okay.
There'd have to be some budget. It had to be the budget of the what was that? He said that Lou Grade once said he did the film Raising the Titanic, and it ran so much over budget. He said it'd have been easier to lower the Atlantic. So that's the kind of budget you would need for reconstructive surgery on me.
And Ali, I just wonder if you'd all the gazillions, would there be any money set aside?
I'm in Hugh's
Hugh's camp, okay, fantastic. Well, I'm not even going to go there, Ali. Thank you very much to Alison McConnell and to Hugh McDonald. I do hope you enjoyed the show. We bit of chat on movies as well in there. You get everything in the Journos, all to do with sport. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button on PLZ Premium. And you will be able to catch the podcast and, of course, this show later on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, which we'd also like you to subscribe to. But in Premium, you get the chance to win some fantastic prizes, early access to some of our programmes, and as you'll find out as it goes on, not only some great content, more competitions to enter as well, and enjoy some of the really special prizes that we're going to offer you. So, from the Journos, thank you for listening and watching.